frustration. I don't know yesterday. What I want is a new day. Yesterday, my love won't left me. Yesterday, my marriage was broken. I don't want yesterday. What I want is a new day. Yesterday, my hopes and dreams, all my plans for the future, they were all cheating. Hear my cry, oh Lord. Listen to my prayer. Hear my cry, oh Lord. Listen to my prayer. Hear my cry, oh Lord. Listen to my prayer. Hear my cry, oh Lord. Listen to my prayer. You are the one I worship. You are the one I praise. You are the one I magnify. Father, we glorify your name. We glorify your name. We glorify your name. Hear my cry, my cry. Oh, Chineke, hear my cry, my cry. Oh, Jehovah.
Alright, hear our cry, hear Mama Liberia cry. Let me say good afternoon, good morning, good evening. It's great to be in your company this weekend. Weekend from my end. Of course, some people are already in Sunday, almost Sunday morning somewhere. Okay, but it's great. It's great to be back at this Saturday here in the United Kingdom. Of course, from where I sit right now, I'm broadcasting my studio. The time is 14:18. That's 18 minutes past 2 o'clock here. Today, the 28th of October, 2017, and of course, it's great to be back on your in your house, in your car, at your workplace. Some of you guys that are at work right now, and of course, tuning in. It's great to be back here. By popular demand, as you can see the inscription up there, by popular demand, a lot of you guys have been contacting me, especially when I went to Liberia, contacting me to replay for me to send you guys a video or the previous interview I had once upon a time a couple of months ago with Celue yet to do. Celue is the daughter or one of the daughters of the former president or the late former president of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Samuel Kanyado. We had an exclusive interview. I had an exclusive interview with her, and of course, a lot of you have been asking for this interview. I did play it, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday. In fact, the demand of it increased from yesterday. A lot of you guys got to my mailbox and asking me to either replay or to send you a copy of it. So because of this, I'm back. I'm here today to actually meet your demand as well. So we will be you'll be hearing this interview, a full length of it right now. So thank you so much for tuning. You can share the video. I will appreciate if you can share it as well. Let's invite as many people as possible to see to listen to our conversation, my interview with Celue a year ago. Okay, let's get on. Max Kpakio team, isn't it? But here we here and hoping to bring you a wonderful, wonderful program here as usual on Radio Library. Let me go straight to my studio guest now to see if we can keep the ball rolling from here. And at least, good afternoon. I think it's the afternoon you're in, right?
Yes, it's the evening, 1 p.m.
All right, yeah, okay, after 9 p.m., so evening. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm very good as well, thank you. Yeah, enjoying the, prelude to the winter. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. So it's wonderful to having you back on the radio. The last time we had you was on the Sisters program here, and indeed we thought it was that at least Liberian people were requesting. Some of them missed the show. They missed hearing you, and they really wanted to listen to you or to have you back on here. So we extend the invitation. So thanks so much for accepting our invitation on this particular program, the Nighttime Spain.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate receiving an invitation to return. And thank everyone.
Now, without much ado, let's say hands up to all of our listeners across the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and to all of you. And we appreciate your support to Radio Library, your own community radio station, and of course, bringing you great entertainment, information as well as education here. And we appreciate your support once again. Yuta, I mean, just before we go, for the benefit of those that will be hearing your voice for the first time here on Radio Live across the globe, you care to tell us your full name and just introduce yourself to our wonderful, wonderful people that will be listening to you.
Sure, no problem. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day to everyone listening to this program all around the globe. My name is Celue Doe, and I am one of the daughters of the late Liberian President, Dr. Samuel Doe. I reside in the United States, in New Jersey. I am a communication specialist by trade. My background is in broadcasting and electronic media. I am also a community activist. I am very in support of things Liberia. I've been very active in the peace and reconciliation movement here in the United States, especially between the counties of Grangita and Nimba counties here in the States. I also am a public speaker and an entrepreneur, and above all, I am a Liberian citizen who loves my homeland.
Now, I mean, by virtue of your introduction, of course, people are they already know as to who is actually they will be listening to, and once again, it's a great pleasure actually to have you on in this show, and for us to discuss issues relative to Mama Liberia as far as peace and reconciliation is concerned. But before we come to the nitty-gritty part of the discussion, I'd like to ask you about your dad. I don't know how old were you, but as far as knowing your dad is concerned, how well did you know your dad?
As well as anyone, I can't really say it was a normal, the average childhood. My dad died right after my 8th birthday, but the last time I saw my dad was when I was 7. So thankfully, and I think it's something that I worked on throughout my childhood, was holding on tightly to the memories that I have of Liberia and of my father. So I do have great memories of my father and of living in Liberia, although I was quite young. But I'm very fortunate to be one of those people that can really remember things from their childhood. And I have a lot of memories growing up in the executive mansion with my father and my siblings. and attending J.J. Roberts United Methodist School from nursery school all the way up to second grade before leaving Liberia. So as a child of the president, it's not every day you get to interact with your father, considering he's running the country and everything. But one of my most poignant memories is the fact that my father, he was very, we, the children, we kind of, in a way, in like a good way, we revered our father. He was a very commanding figure. Even, to us, his children, we had such high respect for him. We knew that we could get away with stuff, with our mom. What we could get away with our mom, we certainly could not get away with our dad. She was more of the lenient parent, and our dad was very strict. He was very strict, and he was very about school and education. He will always engage us greatly when it came to our schooling. That growing up, I knew that was something that we could not play around with our schoolwork. Our father, he will always come and visit our section of the mansion where the children resided during what we call study class, when it's basically after school when we're doing homework, and he'll come in and he'll check on us and look at our schoolwork. And sometimes in the evening would be when we will go to the president's suite, which is where he would reside in the family wing of the mansion, and we would spend some time just watching TV. But we knew we could not cut up. We knew we could not, it's crazy, because you would think that you'll be wrestling around doing that. It was like, even with us his children, we recognized how powerful of a person he was. We saw that he was always surrounded by guards and important people and all these things. So we knew that he was he was a very busy man, but we knew that he loved us. And I knew that my father loved me, and that's something that I have peace with, and knowing that, in a short amount of time during my life that I got to have him, I knew that our father loved us.
Right. This is something I don't know how much memories do you have, because you were just approaching 8 years old when your dad left you, or you got separated from your dad or so. So as far as growing up is concerned, you don't have much memory about Liberia, right?
I have memories of living in the mansion, the fun I had playing, with my siblings behind the mansion, which we refer to as the garden, going out there, riding bikes, playing with the people, the children who lived in the community behind the executive mansion. We got to interact with them a lot. We got to visit friends and family members a lot, going to, people who worked with our dad, such as the vice president. We were close with his children and other people who were in leadership positions, their children. I remember school. I remember my teacher's name. I still to this day remember my nursery school teacher, and I was like 3 years old. Her name was Mrs. Joseph from J.J. Roberts. Our nannies, our security guards, the people who were assigned to us, I know all their names. I remember eating at certain places, going to Sophie's ice cream. Late at night, when our dad would come and bring food to us, like wake us up like around midnight or something, and he'll come and grab my brother Samuel SKD Jr. to go on one of the late night rides together without anyone, no security, nothing. Him and my brother would just go around the city of Monrovia together, and they'll have private drives, and just our dad having a medical bag, a doctor's bag, and he would come in and play doctor with us and all those things. I have very fond memories, and those are the things that I really cherish. Those are the memories I hold on to, and I vivid, pictures in my mind of memories that I had with my father.
Now, tell me, I know you, as far as the memory is concerned, which of course I'm really glad to hear that, but as far as your living Liberia is concerned, I know, sometimes we can be small, but we still remember things, especially trying to move from one place to another. When you were told maybe that morning, that evening or so, that you were leaving Liberia and you were leaving your dad or your parents back home and you were going to another country, what was your feelings like as a child?
It was, okay, the thing is, we always, in our growing up in the mansion, the children were divided in two groups. It was the older 5 and the younger 5, because we were 10 children growing up in the mansion. I had far more brothers and sisters than that. Right. However, in the mansion, it was the older 5 who had already left the country years prior because they started to attend boarding school in England. And that will include my brother S.K. Jr. and my sister Mommy Doe, Connie Doe, and others. They had already been living in the United Kingdom and attending boarding school. So the younger 5 was me, my 2 sisters, and my 2 brothers. We were the younger ones, which we were 10 and under, so we were way too young to go away to boarding school at that time. So we were still in Liberia in 1990 when, the war started to get heated. And I remember I was I was a child that was very observant, and I knew that things were going on, and I would listen, to the adults around me discuss things and talk. And we started, I started to notice when they took us to get our passports, made. So I remember going to take my pictures with my siblings, and we took the pictures in the mansion and in the executive mansion in one of the business, areas that they conducted stuff. And we took our pictures and we got it, and we were told it was for our passport. So we knew that, things were changing and we're going somewhere. And I think at some point we got told that we were going to England. But then I also remember realizing that our dad was not coming with us. It was just going to be we, the children, and our mother, Nancy Doe, that was going to be traveling. So
how was your feelings that time? Especially daddy's girl.
It was excited. It was excitement because I missed my older brothers and sisters. We were going to see them. It was exciting. It wasn't going to be my first time playing, but it was going to be my first time leaving the country because we used to fly in the plane to go and visit Grangita and stuff. But this was going to be our first time to leave the country, and it was excitement. But I think at the time, even at that time, it didn't really hit me until I had to say goodbye to my dad, because it was this moment of finality that I could not, even as a child, I recognized that I may not be seeing this man, that it was a final goodbye. And in that moment,
did you really think that?
Oh yes, because of how it was kind of a solemn mood. Because we the children, the family lived on the 6th floor of the executive mansion. Yeah. Yes, we used to live on the 8th floor, but then later on, years after there was a fire or something that took place. Yeah. We lived on the 6th floor. And then, so we got ready, we got all packed up. The day came, and then before we could leave the mansion, they escorted we, the children, downstairs on the 4th floor, which was where my dad's office was, to go and say bye to our dad. And for me, even at this age, I remember that moment, and I remember it being a sad that moment. It wasn't, oh, I'll see you guys later, or, you know, it was just, you know, our dad, it wasn't a joyous occasion at all. It was like entering the unknown. And it was like, even at that age, I think that I knew that I probably wasn't going to see my father as weird.
So what was the expression like from your dad's face you saw?
From my dad's face, it was very serious and very solemn, very like it was not like smiling and nothing like that. Remember, my dad was always very stoic. Also, he was very. Like I said, he was a commanding figure, and with us, his children, he was like a authoritative figure to us. And in this moment, you kind of see that he was sad, you know. And these are things that I do plan on discussing in my memoir that I'm working on. But this moment in my life, it changed the rest of my life. I mean, going to say that was the last time I laid eyes on my father, was entering his office. We were ushered into his office by our security guards who were coming on the trip with us, or I think escorting us to the airport. And, you know, the look on my dad's face was one of what I remember vividly. I remember, because I remember him being behind his desk when we entered the office, and it was one that was not glee or happiness. It was kind of like, okay, kids, you know, be good, listen to your mom. You know, it was like saying goodbye to your children, you know, and it wasn't I'll see you later goodbye. It was this is it, goodbye, you know? I know now, knowing what I know now, I knew my dad knew that he wasn't going to see us again. I believe he knew that. I believe in my heart that he knew he wasn't going to see us again, because I think he knew what was coming.
Did mommy have the same belief?
Did my mom have the same belief?
Yeah, did she share with you?
You know what? The thing is, I don't even think when we went to go say bye to our dad, our mom was with us. I think she said her byes separately.
All right.
Yeah, I believe she said her byes separately from we the children. So I'm not sure what she believed. I think she was more hopeful, perhaps. You know, I don't know what the interaction, their final interaction was. But I just remember the plane ride all the way to the United Kingdom from Liberia. It wasn't one of, you know, it wasn't normal. It was worrisome. I could tell from the look on her face that it was one of uncertainty. It was, you know, like, you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what our lives are going to be like moving forward, you know. So I definitely remember that.
Do you have any memories of Grandjida?
Yeah, I remember being scared of the Country Devils and the performances and running and hiding when, you know, the Country Devils were coming up to the town square. I remember our father, and I'm so thankful for this, that he really made it a point for us to go to our home county often. And I don't know the exact times, how many times that I've been to Grandjida, but I know that at least over the years, at least 2 to 3 times, because we will go there all the time. And I remember staying. It was different. I remember staying in the house, and I think what we call the guest house, and when we go to Grandjida, I believe we even went to Tuzon. So, yeah, I just remember, you know, performances when people, you know, they'll do the cultural performances. And I remember just being nothing like Monrovia, you know, because of course it was more of a interior like environment and being different from what it was like at home, at the mansion in Monrovia.
So would you say that you still feel that you belong to the county, Grand Gila County?
Absolutely, more now than perhaps I ever did.
How much do you love Grand Gila?
Of course, absolutely, with all my heart and my soul. That is my homeland, where my blood goes back to, and the Crown people, Grand Gila, that's my heart and my soul. That's where I am from and where I am proud to be from. I'm a Crown woman from Grand Gila, and I'm a proud Liberian woman, who embraced all of my heritage.
Do you still love Liberia in general?
I do love Liberia. I love the Liberian people.
All of them?
All of them, yeah. I mean, I don't personally know each and every one of Liberians that are around the world, but I have love in my heart for my country, absolutely.
How much memory do you have? Maybe when you were traveling with your father between Monrovia, Grand Gila, Lima County, and then these are the two counties that were very, very tied up together. They share common beliefs and celebrations of love, celebration of likeness, and think. Though as a child you are growing up, but with the memories you just shared, we can tell that you have a very smart memories and thing. What was your memories like between you and your father, your whole parents moving between Monrovia, Grand Gila, and Lima County? Did you see, or do you envision, or did you notice that there was a love and harmony between the two counties and the people?
At that time in my life, I can't say as a child that I recognized anything, any specific bond with specifically people from NIMBA and all that. But one thing I do know is that my father surrounded himself with people from that county, and he had great love. The president's chef, his personal chef, was a man from NIMBA who cooked for my father to eat every day. That should tell you the extent of love and bond and trust that he had in the people of NIMBA, and I remember his name, Mr. Duo, Joni Duo, and he was my father's chef, and he was very loved by us, the family. And as a child, I think one of the most poignant memories I had was the November 12th coup attempt. And it's something else. And that's one of the times I even realized that there are people, in various counties. And I know that was my dad's friend, the late General Thomas Kpakio. And I know that even then that it was something that pained my father that had to happen, So that's one of the reasons why, as an adult, when I decided to start being heavily involved in this peace and reconciliation process of we the Liberian people, I've made valiant efforts because I know how close the people from Grand Gila and the people from NIMBA County were for many, many years. And watched the division that came. And the people from Grand Gila and NIMBA, they're one family. There's so many people from Grand Gila who are married. The intermarriages that are between the people of Grand Gila and NIMBA is more than any other county because, there's a term for people who are Kran but grew up in NIMBA, call them NIMBA Kran. It's like we're one people. So that's why I've made such huge efforts to reach out and extend my hand and be very involved with the people from NIMBA County, and so we can rebuild that bond that was once destroyed by manipulation and terrible intentions by the powers that be, wanted us to see that, because we're a very powerful group of people. The people of Grand and NIMBA were so tightly united. And I'm hopeful that we are on a path, especially we, the new and younger generation that is now emerging, in this 21st century, and will recognize that we got played, basically, in layman's term, we got played, and that we were ever allowed it.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that we will never ever again allow, people to play on our emotions and let hate and anything else come between us.
You think there's huge resentment still between the two countries?
From what I've seen, my personal interaction, like I said, I've been very involved in the Nimba community here in the U.S., most especially with the Celue My Chiefdom organization. They've reached out to me over the years, since 2012, to be speakers, to be a speaker at various events, and I've even received an award for peace and reconciliation. And I boldly have told my Nimba brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers, aunties and uncles, when I've interacted and met with them, that never again will we allow this to happen. That the need right now is for genuine heal, and peace to emerge from our two groups of people. That we were one, and we will be one again. That we should never repeat that terrible history that occurred with us. That we will never ever again. So I think that for the most part, as a Grandidian and talking to other Grandidians, I think Grandidians are very easy to forgive, and it's easy to kind of forgive and forget, because I think we are a peace-loving people.
Are you one of them?
I'm sorry?
Are you one of them?
Am I a peace-loving Grandidian?
Are you one of them that are easy to forgive?
I think I'm a very forgiving person, especially if someone has shown remorse and someone has shown a sincerity in wanting to be forgiven. I think that I am. I'm one of those people that I don't tend to hold grudges. Forgiving but forgetting is two different things, because, you always, as a human being, you have to be cognizant, and you have to use whatever happened to be a lesson. And so you cannot forget, but you can forgive.
Okay. Her name is Celue. She's our guest here today on the nighttime spin this afternoon. We're going to take a very, very short musical break. When we come back, we will be hitting on the peace, reconciliation in Liberia, and whether we are on the true reconciliation road in Liberia in terms of bringing people together. But let's take this musical break by Afro Blondie, which you will hear. Afro Blondie, I wish you were here. And of course, here on the Nighttime Spin, our studio guest is Celue daughter of our late President of the Republic of Liberia, President Simon Kanyadu, and she's our studio guest this morning, this evening, this afternoon, depending from where you're listening to Radio Library. It's indeed an honor to having her here tonight on the show across the world. So much thank you for listening up as well. We will open the lines in about 15 minutes. So you're going to be here with us for the next maybe another hour or so, but we'll open the lines. So if you have any contribution as well or questions, you can ask her, especially where we are coming right now to talk about peace and reconciliation in Liberia. Celue, let me come back to you and ask you this. How much do you know of Prince Johnson?
Well, I mean, the fact is that I know my father died at his hands. My father's death died because of Prince Johnson, period.
That because of him?
Yeah. I understand. I mean, that's a known fact all around the world that my father was killed by Prince Johnson. That's no secret. Prince Johnson and his men.
Do you think Prince Johnson personally killed him?
Well, I know that Prince Johnson is responsible for my father's death.
So you hold him responsible?
Yes, I believe the whole world knows that.
How close are you? Have you, since, as you can remember, since you left Liberia up to this present time, has he ever spoken to you?
Prince Johnson?
Yeah.
No, he hasn't. No.
Have you ever made an attempt to call him?
Interactions with Prince Johnson? No.
Have you ever made an attempt to call him?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
But do you know what role is he playing right now in Liberia?
Yeah, I know that he's the senator senior senator for Nimba County.
So would you say he's got enough a good part to play if we are talking about peace and reconciliation between Nima and Grand Juda County?
Do I think that he has a part to play?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think with this, when you're talking about healing, I think this goes back to what we discussed last time, 2 weeks ago, when I was invited to be on here on the other show, under the Palau.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're talking about reconciliation and you're talking about it being genuine, you can only reconcile with someone who admittedly recognizes that they have wronged people. And you can't expect people to want to be involved in reconciling if they have no remorse and they are not genuine nor sincere. And like I emphatically stated last time, Mr. Johnson has shown himself to be none of these things. He has not shown that he has any sort of remorse, nor has he shown that he has been sincere or genuine. If anything, it has been the total opposite. He has been boastful, he has been braggadocious, and about the atrocities that he committed, most specifically to the death of my father. I told you that I listened to hours and hours of the TRC report where he testified on his part, and listening to those recordings and reading, various interviews and that he has given to papers and magazines over the years, Mr. Johnson has not shown himself to the Liberian people to be a man that recognizes the atrocities that he committed against the Liberian people. Forget it just being against Celue Kayando. It was about the countless and the faceless and the nameless of Liberians who lost their lives at the hands of Prince Johnson. So how can we ask Liberian people to reconcile and to heal when the main perpetrator, who had inflicted so much pain upon us and our families, is still around today and has been rewarded and has not shown any sorts of remorse, none at all. He hasn't, for my family, I have not, and I said this last time, can reference a time that this man had made, remorseful reach out or even a letter or anything that I can speak of, so if we can really try to reconcile our people, Mr. Johnson has to recognize what he has done to the Liberian people.
Will you ever be willing, since he is not willing to give you a phone call, will you ever be willing to give him a phone call?
At this time in my life, I'm not living my life thinking, oh, let me pick up the phone and try to call Prince Johnson. But I do believe, my faith is very, very strong.
Celue, you already, the point I'm trying to get at here, you already put in a huge work into, as far as reconciliation is concerned, according to you, in America, and of course, maybe speaking to people back home. If you are doing this already, and you want to extend it on the ground, on the soil itself in Liberia, between Grangida and Lima County, if the stakeholders, especially Prince Johnson, if you and the entire Doe's family cannot meet on the table with him, then how would you people move forward in terms of reconciling Lima and Grangida?
I think the last time, again, when I spoke about this matter regarding Mr. Prince Johnson, I made it very clear that this is not an individual decision that I, Celue Doe, can make.
One of you have to take the bull by the horn, though.
Yes, I definitely understand that, but like I made very clear the last time that this is not some easy matter or discussion like, oh, what we're going to have for dinner. It's about coming to the table and meeting with the man who killed our father, brother, uncle, cousin, whatever. This is something that the entire Doe family, and I mentioned that my brother, Celue Kayando Jr., as the patriarch of our family, this is something that I trust and believe that he will lead the way in doing. So if the time ever presents itself for our family to ever meet with Mr. Johnson, that will be something that will be a unanimous and not a unilateral decision that will be made. I mean, for me personally speaking, one fine day, I will look into the eyes of Prince Johnson and ask the questions that I have and say what I have to say.
Why you killed my dad?
Do I what?
Why you killed my dad?
Yes, that may be one of them. And I would like to know what was my father's final words. As his daughter, that's something I've always wondered about.
Are you still angry?
Am I angry? No, I'm not angry. I am not angry because when you believe in God,
somebody
God
kill your dad.
On you, I cannot walk around with anger in my heart because I am very blessed. I see what God has done. God has brought me a mighty long way. And to say I am angry, no. I am not angry. If anything, I feel sorry for the man. I feel sorry for him to live with that kind of burden, okay, of what he as a individual have done, not just in the killing of my father, but just in Liberia. I just don't know how he sleeps at night, or even if he sleeps at all.
He does, because he's a pastor and also a senator.
Hey, everybody can be pastors. I mean, You know, but we don't know if he sleeps at night, though.
Now, let's come to Liberia. I mean, since the incident or so, do you have any blame on the country as a whole? That perhaps the country didn't protect your dad?
Do I have any blame on the country as a whole?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's war. Horrible, terrible things happen when war occurs. This is a lesson to we, the Liberians, again, that we should never, ever allow such a thing to happen in our country. Okay, when war happens, the citizens suffer, most especially women and children bear the burnt of any war that takes place on this earth. So to say I blame the country, I can't blame the country. I mean, it won't make sense to me. I think Liberians now have regretted and regretting every day why such a thing ever had to take place in our country, because we all lost. We all lost greatly. You know, that civil war that happened for 16 years in Liberia, over 250 plus thousand Liberian lives were lost. We all suffered. We suffered greatly. So I can't walk around as Celue Doe saying I blame Liberia. I don't blame Liberia. I feel sorry that my country ever had to go through such a thing.
Now, Celue, do you think that both past and present governments have done enough to achieving peace and reconciliation in Liberia?
Absolutely not. I think way more effort, genuine efforts could have been made. But everything that's been done is kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a a wound that's like, it's like losing your leg or having a leg blown up by an IED and then taking a Band-Aid to put on it. What's that going to do? Nothing has really been truly addressed. You know, if the administration had enacted the recommendations of the TRC report, I think that would have really helped with the healing and the reconciliation process. You can't really say that true efforts have been made. I think anybody who has observed the situation in Liberia and those who are even living on the ground will tell you, no, it hasn't really, genuine efforts have not been made to reconcile and heal our country.
Would you want to see the implementation of the TRC?
Absolutely. You know, this is, if we can respect the commission that we put together, you know, then what was the point of that? Just for show?
But it's the same people were asking you for forgiveness.
You said what if people were asking me for forgiveness?
The same people are asking you for forgiveness.
If it seems like people are asking me for forgiveness?
I mean, the same people that have been listed in the TRC. Because
I think this is an issue that the entire country needs to be involved with and have their voices be heard. The will of the Liberian people needs to be done. You know, especially those who are living on the ground, going through the day-to-day hell of living in post-war Liberia and having to see the faces of the people who committed such atrocities daily. You know, I think their voices should be even more listened to than mine.
You are listening to the program, The Nighttime Spin. Of course, my special studio guest is Celue Doe, the daughter of the late President of the Republic of Liberia, Simon Kanyadu. My lines are open now. I will take a couple of calls. I see a lot of calls been coming in, but because I have been opening the line, that's why I have not been taking your calls. So the number to call is 412-927-0162 +1 412-927-0162, or you can Skype me at Radio LIB Legend. And let's see if you have any contribution to make, or you want to ask Celue Doe. You can call and be a part of this discussion. We're discussing peace and reconciliation in Liberia, the way forward, whether we as a people and country have been doing enough to achieving it. That's what we're talking about. Forgiveness as well. Yet, I mean, let me come back to you as far as this peace and reconciliation in Liberia is concerned. The TRC, the recommendations were made. Consultations, were done before even the TRC took its stance to come up to document it and present it to the serving president. Did you ever participate in it, or was you contacted, or any of your member of your family, if you remember, any of your family member were contacted when they were doing a consultation?
Actually, me personally, no, I was never contacted. As far as my family members, having such a huge family, I can't really say yes or no. If maybe some people in Liberia that maybe I was related to, like my Uncle Jackson Doe, I'm not sure if he had anything to do with that, or other people, or my late Uncle Che Doe, if he was ever spoken to, I'm not sure. But, as far as me and my siblings go, I know for a fact that we never spoke to the commission.
Now you're saying that as far as the trends of this is concerned, without the implementation of the recommendations documented from the TRC, you see a kind of for peace and reconciliation to be far from reality. Why would you say this? If you are already doing your own bits and pieces, and despite the fact you having been on the ground yourself to continue your work from there, why would it be difficult if people say, well, let's put this thing under the table, under the carpet, and move forward?
You can't see, that's the problem with our country now. We cannot sweep things underneath the carpet. You cannot sweep the hurt and the pain and the suffering of the Liberian people underneath the carpet.
Do you really want Prince Johnson to pay the price?
Do they want Prince Johnson to pay the price?
Do you personally want Prince Johnson to pay the price?
I believe Prince Johnson and all people, because he's not the only one, all those who were involved.
Yeah, but he took your precious stones from you.
I'm sorry?
He took your precious stone from you.
Yes, indeed he did. And like I said, he's not the only one. He's the face that is the most known one, perhaps. However, there are many hands that are involved in the destruction of our country. People who are in high positions today. People are walking around Liberia. People who are living a life of luxury and who have been rewarded, who were involved in the destruction of Liberia. I think everybody needs to pay the price and needs to be held accountable. It's about accountability. How can we, call ourselves a civilized nation if we are, going about our lives as Liberians as if this horrendous thing did not happen to our people? I think someone said it last time on the show that people who are from various nations, other African nations, or just other nations around the world who knows the story of Liberia think we're crazy. Like, how can you Liberian people allow such a thing to happen for people who do these things to you guys, and nothing happens to them? They are not held accountable, but being rewarded by a position of power and in government. You're serving the people that you harm. What kind of sense does that make? Yeah, it just doesn't make any. The comment, even it's common sense. How can we as Liberians do that, but yet we expect to be healed? That's why it just makes this whole situation with peace and reconciliation and healing moving forward. That's why it makes it so difficult for so many people. It's like an open wound constantly. is a constant reminder. These figures who are in such high positions, in our country, is a constant reminder of the injustice that lives within our society.
If at all today, perhaps you were contacted by the legislative caucus of both Onima and Grand Julia County, you were personally reached out there and said, look, we want to invite you. We're having a peace jamboree and peace and reconciliation jamboree for the two counties. Will you be willing to go?
Absolutely. And that's something in my personal life with my efforts as an individual I've been doing here in the United States. One of the prominent sons of Nimba, Owen Johnson Tuazama, who is the president of the Nimba Association of New York, and we were just most recently discussing, our desires to work together as brothers and sisters to unite our country. Our county and our counties, once again, and work together in this peace and reconciliation of not just those two counties, but of Liberia as a whole. I am always in liaison with various individuals and the people of Nimba County. I will be no stranger to doing such work, especially because this is where I am very comfortable in and have a experience in reaching across the aisle and really recognizing the need for peace and reconciliation among these two groups of people who suffer dearly.
All right, let me hold you there. Let me take our first caller and let's see, let's hear from the first caller. Fidel? Hello, Fidel? Hello, caller? Caller, hello. Are you hearing me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Good evening. Yeah. Tell us your for the benefit of my studio guests and the listeners. Tell us your name and from where you call.
Hi, my name is Fidel Budi. I'm a Liberian living in the UK. I'm actually calling from Aberystwyth at the moment.
Good to hear from you. Say hi to Celue first, then before you can go ahead.
Hi, Celue. How are you doing? You okay?
Well, how are you, Fidel?
I'm great. Thank you very much.
What's your take on what we're discussing? You have any question or some about Tressa?
Well, the thing is, I think I've got some questions, but there are comments that need to be made as well. I think I'm of the opinion, and I will agree with Celue in this light that there are, in the history of Liberia, instances where individuals have committed atrocities against the Liberian people, and these people have been seen as being rewarded for the actions that they've taken. The thing is, we can go back as far as William V.S. Todman, like William R. Tolbert, and even President Doe. There are instances in history where the Samuel Doe-led government committed actions against the Liberian people that not everybody would have agreed with, including myself. And at the end of the day, these individuals rose to fame in Liberia, became ministers and presidents, and yes, that has to stop somewhere. There has to be a time where individuals, not just Prince Johnson, not just President Doe, not just President Charles Taylor. You have people like Alhaji Kromah, you have guys like George Bole, you have other people who have come out and said, look, we did contribute to the instabilities in Liberia, but then these people are walking free. Having said that, I think if Ms. Doe is serious about accepting that Liberia has to move forward and that we need to reconcile as a group of people, then we have to accept that everyone has a part to play in the conflict. And I'll explain what I mean. I didn't hold guns in Liberia. I didn't shoot anybody in Liberia, but I am responsible for some of the atrocities in Liberia because all of us took sides during the war, whether you were on the side of ECOMOG, whether you were on the side of the Liberian Armed Forces, whether you were on the side of Charles Taylor whether you're on the side of Lofa Defense Force, everybody took sides in the war. And the fact that you took a side may, by extension, whatever atrocities that side that you were, in favor of committed, you are, by extension, responsible for that action. Because if you didn't support the action, then probably the atrocities wouldn't have happened. Okay. So we can't just say, Prince Johnson has to come out and apologize, because if we say that, people who support Prince Johnson will say, well, President Doe did this, they did. He killed 13 people in 1980. He killed President William R. Tolbert, who was an elected president of the Republic of Liberia. He killed people in 1983 in Nimba County. And then during the war, his forces killed people as well. So when do we stop, and where do we draw a line to move forward?
Okay. All right, Fidel. Thanks, Mr. Budi, for the call. Celue, Fidel will be listening if you care to respond. But I think what I got from him is that, look, this is a rope that we are trying to pull, but then we're forgetting to note that the rope is attached on a tree that has so many branches. If you pull it, you're going to pull a lot of branches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And achieving peace will be difficult.
Yeah, it will be difficult, however, it will not be impossible. Achieving peace in Liberia is very possible. Thank you, Fidel, for, that very insightful comment made. And I do agree with him in so much, especially in saying that we are all responsible as Liberians, especially the way he broke down, saying that even by choosing sides and all these things, in a way, we all have a role to play. And I think once you come to that realization, because many of us are children, and some people can say, how children are innocent, they didn't know this, they didn't know that. I understand. That's why I have come to, on many, many occasions, I've stated publicly in various platforms and forums and, in various environments when I have spoken, and I've spoken publicly, and I have stated that as the child of Samuel Kayando, on behalf of my family and I, and even my brother, I believe, SKD Jr., has said these same exact words, that we apologize to the Liberian people for the pain and the hurt that our side, we have caused, okay? I just because I'm a child of this man does not mean that I do not recognize things that happened in Liberia that many people, were affected by. So moving forward, it's what in recognizing this, and that we all had a role to play in everything. What are we going to do about it? Are we just going to be comfortable and blame, or do we want to help and heal our country and move forward? Although the task at hand will be extremely difficult, but it's not, I believe in my heart, it's not impossible.
Right, okay. Let's take our very, very perhaps last musical break. When we come back, we're going to take more calls. I see calls coming in, but I don't know, some of your calls are coming in a way. If I take your call, then I would lose my studio guest. So that's why I am not taking your calls. Caller, let me see, 178. Your call is coming in a way that I can't take it at all. Then I will drop my my studio. 0162, and you can be a part of it all. You can Skype me at Radio LIB Legend, Radio LIB Legend, and you will be live here with my studio guests, including myself. Right, Celue, I mean, as far as this TRC is concerned, because this is the main thing that's supposed to take us to a very, very true reconciliation in Liberia, and the fact that up to now, every segment of it, recommendations are yet to even be discussed publicly or to be implemented. This is proving a bit very, very difficult in as far as achieving peace is concerned. I recently heard that there is a plan, very, very big peace and reconciliation meeting between Grand Jide and Nima County. I think the Carter Center is the one that mediating this, according to information. As far as such, very, very good initiative is concerned, any knowledge on that? And will you be happy if the Carter Center or the organizers are happy to invite you? And besides you going, will you be able, or if you are given a seat next to Prince Y. Johnson, having the both of you having spoken or or anything or so, will you be able to sit comfortably next to him?
Well, as far as this potential event that I'm just for the first time hearing about, taking place between the people of Nimba and Grand Jide, I think that's wonderful news.
It is.
Anything that is, in the interest of peace is always great news. So if this is true, I really applaud all those who are involved in the efforts of making such a thing happen. And secondly, you asked if I would be, involved in some way to participate. Yes, I welcome, like I said, if it's in the interest of the people of Liberia and it's a positive thing and it's about peace, I am involved. But let's make this whole Prince Johnson thing very clear, because I am a human being just like you and everybody else.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend that this whole issue is not a very sensitive matter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's not pretend
that
it's not a sensitive matter. So obviously, I can't just walk in a room for the very first time having no idea, no, whatever, and go told, oh, Celue, sit right there. Like, come on, let's be for real. Let's be realistic and genuine in our talks with one another. And obviously, this is something that needs to be dealt with prior by whoever. No one wants to feel blindsided or caught off guard per se in doing such a thing. And I think it'll be very disingenuous of whoever who is planning this event to strategically say, oh, we're going to sit Celue and Prince Johnson next to each other. This is not your plan. You're not. If you really care about the healing, and if you're genuine in your actions of the healing and reconciliation of the people of Nimba and Grand Jide, that wouldn't be something that you would do without previously consulting the families of both parties, especially, the Doe family. This is not something that I would just walk into a room and be told, here's your seat. And, come on. At the end of the day, I am Samuel Kando's daughter, and we all know what happened. So that is something that needs to be dealt with ahead of time.
So meaning, if I can search your heart, then your mind, you stay with a deep sense of anger then?
I don't like that word anger. It's unresolved hurt. It's unresolved.
You're still frustrated?
What I want, and like what I said before, this is a family issue. This is not just me. My entire family has to be involved in this healing, in this process. Okay? My entire family, if Mr. Johnson, okay, is actually sincere, and not just with my family, but any other families that wish to have a peace and closure and healing, then it needs to be done in a less, if this thing is not for show, if we're not circus animals for the Liberian people or whoever wants to come and watch and see what would happen if, you know, those families is sat next to Prince Johnson, or Prince Johnson sat next. If anybody is genuine in their actions of really moving and healing this whole issue, this were things that would obviously have to take place behind closed doors because of the pain of it all, you know, the sensitivity of it all. This is a private matter that at first will need to take place privately between, you know, our families and this man. And this is not something you can just say, oh, let's sit them next to each other. I don't think that's genuine at all, you know. And to ask somebody, oh, what would you do if you sat, like, obviously, just ask somebody on the street, you know, who has lost a family member, how would they feel if you just go blindly and you're seated next to the person who this happened? Wouldn't you want to engage and have a private experience outside of a public one, that you're just going to be placed in such a situation?
So, Celue, I mean, do you still doubt then there is true peace in Liberia because of the way the reconciliation process is being handled? Do you still doubt whether we have actual peace in Liberia? Because the peace is it has to come from within, in your mind, isn't it?
It has to come from within. It has to, because what we have seen in Liberia is the lack of government genuine initiative in creating this genuine peace and healing. What we've seen is a cosmetic version of peace and reconciliation, just because you know, a family member or a child of someone who was killed and was whatever is given a job or opportunity. That's not, oh yeah, then now that means there's peace or there's reconciliation. You know, that's not a true form. If you really want to be earnest and honest in what your desire is, we should be generally reconciling and healing the people of Liberia. It's a deeper issue. You have to go deep with the situation. You can't just give somebody a job and say, okay, well, I don't have any problems with that person. See, I give their son or their daughter a job. That's not reconciliation to me.
Wow.
So, and as far as we all know that the UN being in Liberia has been a huge reason, you know, why there has been, you know, relative peace in the country. And I think also because Liberians genuinely don't want any war anymore. We're tired of war. We're tired of fighting, you know. So aside from the UN troops and forces being in Liberia up until this day, but I think the Liberian people themselves, we're tired. Nobody wants to repeat that. So let's stop leaving people out of the situation. We all should.
Just before we come to to wrap up, Celue, you were very 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 a small girl when you left from Liberia, between 7 and 8. When last you ever went home?
I haven't been home since, Max, I have not been home since 1990.
That's a long time.
I'm sorry?
That's a long time for the country you love.
Yeah, I know. That should tell you that someone doesn't have to be in a country to have love for that country. Because no matter how long I go without returning to Liberia, no matter where in this world I call my home and lay my head, at the end of the day, my heartstrings, my soul, my blood will always be traced back to that land.
Is it because maybe of what happened? Too much bad memories?
I think it was just not a need or felt like the desire. I mean, for many years, since 16 of those years, since 1990, it was very unstable. It was war in the country. I think it's just been the last maybe 6 years, if not more or less, that there's been relative peace in Liberia. So that's when a lot of people have been traveling in recent times to Liberia. But let's not forget that many of those years in my absence, Liberia was not a country that you can go to because of war. So now that things seem to be changing, and hopefully the tides are turning, I think the day is coming very soon that the people of Liberia will see my return home.
I thought, Celue, because I thought I was alluding it that maybe you are still angry with Liberia. That's why you don't want to go home.
No, I think I made it very clear earlier when this issue of being angry was brought up that I have no anger whatsoever, none whatsoever in my heart for Liberia. Liberia is my home. I am a Liberian woman, a very proud Liberian woman, and I have nothing but love for Liberia, and I always have, and I always will.
You know, you sound like a very godly person, and this question maybe perhaps could be hypothetical indeed, but perhaps for the benefit of our listening audience, like Liberians that are getting a whole lot from you. I must tell you that I get lots of calls are coming in, but then the way they're coming in, if I take it, then I will lose you as well. So that's why I'm not taking any calls or so. But this one, I don't know. As far as you are concerned, Liberia itself, people say we stay on the crossroads and think we are yet to move forward because we are not prepared in our heart to move forward. And once we are not prepared in our heart to move to forgive each other, moving forward to reconcile with each other is something that is far, far from reality. And also, if somebody does you wrong, it behooves them the responsibility to come and say, I'm really sorry for what I did to you, or yesterday, I stepped on you, or I said it, but I didn't really mean it, I'm sorry or so. But you as you seem to be a devoted Christian or so. Will you forgive somebody, even though they know definitely that they wronged you, but then they fail to come and admit it to you and apologize to you? Will you forgive them and move on?
You know, the issue, and I think I brought this up the last time I was hosted on this station and under the Palava Hut show. I brought this up. You know, the issue with forgiveness and carrying any hate in your heart with someone, you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself. And I think I used the analogy last time that having hate in your heart for someone or resentment in your heart for someone, and it's like preparing poison for you yourself to give someone, but you yourself, you're the one drinking that poison. What is it going to cost me to just let it go? I refuse, especially in this day and age. Okay, I'm no spring chicken. I'm not an older woman or whatever, but I'm 34 years old. The last thing I need is for my blood pressure to be skyrocketed because I have so much anger or hate in my heart for anyone. I'll be very honest with you. There's so many times in my life that I've really, literally have experienced great hurt from loved ones, someone I trusted and believed in, and I was greatly let down and hurt. But to this day, I will pray for that person rather than plot to harm or do anything for that person. I ask for God to forgive them for what was done to me and to lead me towards a place of peace that I can have in my heart and even love that I can have for that person. I pray for them because the harm that was caused, it says more about them than it does about me, or more of the person that they are. So I refuse to carry any hate and malicious intent and resentment for anyone in my heart. You know, I have way too much love in my life and in my heart, and I'm surrounded by too much love, and it's most especially the love of God, you know, and the favor of God and the mercy of God. I live a very blessed life. So who am I to carry hate or resentment for anyone who has done me wrong?
So what sort of prayers do you have? Do you offer them for Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Johnson, I pray for God to forgive him of his sins the same way I pray for God to forgive me of my sins every night. I pray that he can know God, truly know God.
So, but at least by knowing God, I mean, you'll be able to do the things the right way.
Exactly. Nobody's a perfect human being in this world. I, by far, am not a perfect human being. I have fallen short of the grace of God many times, but I'm living proof of God's love, unconditional love. I'll tell you that. The story that I have shared tonight is just partial of the story of Celue and the story of my family. If it had not been for God, I would not be alive today. I would not be alive today.
Well, her name is Celue. Let's take our very last musical break. When we come back, we wrap up. We ask Celue yet to do so we can wrap up for the show tonight. This one is called New Day by Ethelyn Q. Naya. A new day in Liberia. We want a new day that will transform this country and move this country forward. A new day that we can have peace and tranquility, where we can respect one another, irrespective of backgrounds or wherever you come from. A new day that we will no longer be asking who are you or what are you in Liberia, but rather to accept each other and move forward. That's a new day we definitely want in Liberia. Our guest tonight on the nighttime spin, this evening already, is Celue and we're talking about peace and reconciliation in Liberia as far as achieving it is concerned, whether it's of reality or it's just a mere talking. But we are not yet prepared as human beings, as Liberians, deep down from the bottom of our hearts, to achieving it. Celue, I mean, as we almost got to the end of it, let me ask you, I don't know, a couple of months ago, there was a gentleman I interviewed here. He started our campaign. Have written, according to him, he wrote YouTube management of YouTube. He's a librarian, to remove some of those videos of how, our late president was treated, leading to his death. Would you want those videos to be removed at all as well? Would you be, if you hear of this campaign or so, would you be willing to join in?
Well, obviously, absolutely. And the gentleman that you're speaking of is someone that I happen to know, and I actually am very proud to say that this young man, Mr. Musa Willie, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's someone else who's also doing the same thing, but Musa Willie, who resides in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's Musa.
He's Musa Willie. Yes, he has on his own, completely without the
family.
Anything from anybody of the Dole family or nothing, just as a librarian, saw the need for this to no longer be in existence. And he reached out to me, and I actually completely was so taken aback, and just and give him my blessing and pledge my support in whichever way that he may need to take on this establishment of YouTube. And so, he made sure that he sent me the documents and everything that he has filed and the process that he's involved with. But it's not just the video of my father's torture and murder. I think it's all videos, basically, including those of the gentlemen, the men that were assassinated in 1980 on the pole. What has made it so difficult and traumatizing, yet still till this day? We live in an era of technology where, these videos are so readily available. You can just open your phone or your iPad, laptop, and you can run into these videos. And I'm just going to say this. This is part of the reason why it is so hard to heal, because it's a constant reminder. I cannot tell you how difficult it is for me. Okay, a lot of my work, a lot of my time is spent, on the internet and doing stuff, even on social media. Do you know there's no words to describe when you're just minding your business and happen to just be scrolling or just, I cannot tell you the amount of times that video will pop up, okay? That video will pop up because someone saw it fit or entertaining to share. I don't like to see any type of Liberian wartime. That thing just brings back so much pain for we, the Liberian people. Okay, so we all are suffering with these images. The human mind is very sensitive. So how can we ask each other to heal when we as Liberians, we think it's okay to share these videos, to poke fun, to make, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind. It's painful. It's extremely painful. These images should not be available at all. It's like, I always, the thing that I always wonder, and I feel so bad for the Kennedy family. The video of President Kennedy being assassinated in the country. How it is played over and over again, constantly, all the time. I think about poor Caroline Kennedy, the only surviving member from her family, how it must feel, even for the late Jackie Kennedy and Kennedy Jr., and for the whole Kennedy family. I know it's American history and all that stuff, but imagine it's not even as vicious as the mutilation of my father and other people whose murder and was captured on tape, whose children and grandchildren. I don't want my little daughter, who's 3 years old, to ever come up on that image ever in her life. So we have to really put ourselves in each other's shoes as Liberians. We cannot be promoting such image out there on social media and on Facebook, sharing videos of war killings and all these things. We can't do that to each other because it makes it very difficult for us to heal as a people. It's not entertainment. It's not funny.
No.
It's cruel. It's very cruel.
It is.
These things do not, and I'm not just talking about my father's video. There's so many Liberians whose killing was caught on tape. That's why our wounds are still so wide open. It's still so wide open. This war is fresh in the hearts and minds of so many Liberians. We are traumatized as a nation. We are a nation of traumatized citizens. Mental health of the Liberian people has been extremely affected. And that's the reason, because we continue to constantly be reminded and see these images. Just imagine. I thank Musa greatly, and I bless God for him to even, he said, I'm not related to your father. I'm just a Liberian man, okay, who just think this is so wrong. For this is this was a sitting president. Nobody's president should be so readily available all over the internet of their killing and their torture and their murder. He said it's just not right. He said my family, we didn't benefit for anything Samuel Doe or whatever. He said I'm just a Liberian citizen who think this is wrong. And I'm doing it and I'm acting alone to make sure that I can take on this establishment to remove the availability of this video. And that was just wow. And I thank God for him, and I bless God for him and his efforts. And I've made myself very available to assist in any way.
Now, Celue, I mean, you've been, I don't know how to describe it, but, I appreciate you so much. For coming out and talking to us. And now, just before, finally, what message finally would you have in terms of recommendation as to what you expect of Liberians to contribute to this peace and reconciliation in Liberia, whether they are back home or whether they're from Nima County or Grangida County?
Thank you, Max. I think it all boils down to kindness. Let's be kind to one another. Let's be respectful. You touched on it briefly when you said, after the song A New Day played, and you said, let's have a Liberia where you're not asked, who are you? What are you? Who your mom, your pop? Where you from? Are you Kran? Are you Gil? You Pa? You what? You Pele? Let's stop the judgment of one another. Let's stop the disrespect. Let's stop this mentality that, country versus Congo. Let's stop this elitism versus the haves and the have-nots and all these things. Let's recognize that our society, our nation is, let's not place a blind eye that only a certain selected few in Liberia is enjoying the wealth of Liberia and the peace of Liberia. Let's not be desensitized to the images and to the lives of the children and the families that are living in West Point in abject poverty. Let's not be cold to the reality and the realization that we have a nation of people who are very uneducated and who are suffering, who are living on less than $1 a day. Let's have a heart as Liberians. That's what I ask of us, the Liberian people. Let us have a heart, a genuine, we need to stop this white teeth, black hearts, okay, activities of Liberian people. We smile and show teeth to one another, but really we have hate in our hearts. I cannot tell you how I have been affected by simply being not just Samuel Kando's daughter, but a native woman by the so-called American Liberians and being denied certain opportunities. There's opportunities only for select few in Liberia. There's benefits for only who you know. You know, it's like we cannot move forward if we act like these things are not the open wounds and the sore, the rotten sores that are in our society as Liberians. We're very judgmental people. We are very judgmental people. Okay? And we need to stop that. Let's bring back the act of kindness towards one another.
Okay.
And it starts with our families. It starts with being that way in your families and educating and letting your children, training your children. We really, as Liberians, we have to be kind. Let's stop the crab in the barrel syndrome. Let's stop the hate. We really need to unite. That's the only way. I dream of a Liberia that my little daughter, who is 3 years old, can get off a plane in that country and feel and know she is home and she belongs. And in a peaceful country, a country that if she wished to move to Liberia, she can leave the United States, the land of her birth, and say, I'm going home to live in Liberia because there's opportunity. There's peace. And Liberia is my home. That is my vision. I may not live to see, but I pray to God that my daughter, my little 3-year-old daughter, will one day in her lifetime experience the Liberia that I dream of.
Celue, thank you. Words are inadequate to express how much I appreciate you, or we appreciate hearing your voice on this medium, and of course sharing these deep-seated words from you. Truly words that from your bottom of your heart. And on this note, Celue, just keep your lines open for us. We want to appreciate you and thank you so much for your time. This 2 hours solid. This is all about the road to reconciliation in Liberia. We have to do it. You have to do it. And people like you, we just salute you. For coming out to share with us and to also give us a direction that we all need as Liberians to move in the country forward. So thank you so much for your time, and we wish you all the best, you and your family as well.
Thank you so much, Max. I greatly appreciate you guys at Radio LIB, and I personally want to extend my thanks to you and the kindness that has been shown to me by you and your colleagues, and I greatly appreciate it. And I will always make myself available by, readily being available to come and speak to you guys anytime at Radio LIB. So thank you.
All right, Celue. Do have yourself a blessed night.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Her name is. What shall we do?
Oh, Toddy. What shall we do? Sintijan.
What shall we do?
Oh, Toddy. What shall we do? Sintijan.
What shall we do?
Oh, Toddy. What shall we do? Sintijan.
What shall we do?
Shina wanta sei kurera rumfumo mawoko.
Oh yes, that was a very powerful one there from Celue Yetedo. One of the daughters our slain president, the late President Dr. Samuel Kanyado. Thank you so much. This interview, of course, you can also find it on YouTube, on my own YouTube channel.
What shall we do?
What shall we do?
What shall we do?
When we are caught up in the crossroads between the mountain and the sea, what shall we do? We got to the point that decision is hard to make. So many are confused. What shall we do? Thank you and thank you and thank you so much for watching. This is how I come to the end of this. I came here today. Normally on Saturday I intend to take my break, but a lot of you guys were asking for this interview, even up to the point I went to Liberia. I received a lot of messages also. I promised you that if I come once I return to the UK, I will replay it. Thank you so much for watching. All of you that have been following all your comments and things, they will stay on Facebook, and other people will be viewing and also watching. But for now, from my end, I say peace unto you all. Mama Liberia. Bye-bye.